We just finished reading Chesterton's novel, The Man Who Was Thursday. And this is apropos this, because basically what Chesterton shows in that novel is that philosophy, the love of wisdom, is a good thing, but it can only lead you so far. At some point, if we're going to get deeper into the mystery of the divine itself, himself, has to reveal itself, himself, to us so that we can understand on a deeper level, because human reasoning can only take us thus far.
In a nutshell, about literature with Joseph Pearcem.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Franczak and this is part 41 of In a Nutshell about literature with Joseph Pearcem. After discussing Romeo and Juliet, we are getting back to our cursory review of some best, or as Joseph calls them, good books. But first, we are going to take a look at goodness, truth and beauty in literature. What does that actually mean? Couldn't something be beautiful and bad at the same time, or ugly and good? Let's dive into the topic. After discussing Romeo and Juliet, we are getting back to some chosen good books because there are many of them. And I would like to continue talking chronologically, but before we mention any other books, I would like still to refer to our last discussion about Dante's Divine Comedy, because at the end I asked you a question about something I read of Dante's idea of the purpose of poetry, and he said that it should lead the reader to salvation. And then you mentioned that it is a deep topic and not enough time to discuss it at the end of our conversation. But just to remind our viewers too, you said briefly that all good literature should lead us towards goodness, truth and beauty. Goodness, truth and beauty is the way, the truth and the life. It is Jesus Christ and it is the Holy Trinity. So insofar as literature is leading us deep into goodness, truth and beauty, it is leading us to the Trinity. It is leading us to Christ. So I would like you to talk about it a little bit more, because this triad, goodness, truth and beauty, is Platonic, if I'm not mistaken. It is an ancient concept from ancient philosophy, and you link it to the Christian concept of God. So could you expand on this?
Yes, indeed. So, that we know that I've actually just finished teaching my students. I'm teaching for Rosary College here in the States, an online class, and we're doing modern literature and culture. We just finished reading Chesterton's novel, The Man Who Was Thursday. And this is apropos this, because basically what Chesterton shows in that novel is that philosophy, the love of wisdom, is a good thing, but it can only lead you so far. At some point, if we're going to get deeper into the mystery of the divine itself, himself, has to reveal itself, himself, to us so that we can understand on a deeper level, because human reasoning can only take us thus far. But with Plato and Aristotle, it took us a great long way. So basically, first of all, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle come to understand that at the heart of the cosmos, at the heart of reality, the most primal thing has to be harmony and not chaos. Right? Chaos cannot be the beginning of things, because you'd have no order. that comes from chaos. Something can fall into chaos from harmony, but you're not going to get harmony from chaos. So they understand that there's this unity, this harmony in the cosmos. So there's some sort of inkling that at the heart of everything, there's one God. So there's a monotheistic inkling. But then they start talking about transcendental things within this harmonious whole. And they come up with, the idea of the good, the true, and the beautiful. But that's not something which can be dissected or pulled apart, because goodness, truth, and beauty are one. The good is always true and beautiful. The true is always good and beautiful, and the beautiful is always true and good. So although we seem to think about them and they seem to manifest themselves as things that are somehow distinct, they are actually ultimately part of this union that cannot be separated or pulled apart. So we see that Plato and Aristotle are coming to an understanding of a unity at the heart of the cosmos, so a monotheistic understanding, but also a transcendental understanding of these three things. They would not have used the word Trinity, of course, but these three things that somehow one. Right, and so what we find is that philosophy, human reasoning, when done as well and as brilliantly as it is by Plato and Aristotle, takes us to the very threshold of an understanding of a triune God. But that's as far as we could possibly get. We're going to understand God beyond that threshold. God himself has to meet us and show us himself, which is what happens in the incarnation. And then we get through the gospel a deeper understanding, which means we can then go deeper into philosophy through the application of theology.
So, in other words, putting it simply, if we talk about goodness, truth, and beauty, it means that if something is true, at the same time, it must be beautiful and good. And if something is good, it must be beautiful and true. But then there is one question, because I think that there might be some misunderstanding. It is like with a girl that maybe is beautiful, but she is not necessarily good. So how does it work?
Well, that's very good. And you can look at the other way around, actually, as well. You can look at something which is ugly, which is actually good. So the obvious example of that would be the crucifixion. And obviously, on a physical level, the crucifixion is a very ugly thing. And it is a very ugly thing because it's our sinfulness crucifying the perfect innocent one. But the point is, the perfect innocent one takes that ugliness and turns it into something absolutely beautiful, which through his resurrection leads to our redemption. So something can be ugly on the surface, but beautiful underneath. Something else can be beautiful on the surface, but ugly underneath. So yes, physical beauty is only skin deep, right? And the fullness of beauty has to be made manifest in the profundity of the wholeness of the person. And if you've got someone who's on the outwardly very beautiful, but as soon as they open their mouth, or as soon as you get to know them, you realize this person is problematic, then they're ugly, right? And that ugliness will manifest itself in their relationship with others. That's the way to see it. But yes, you are right. It's a paradox there. And this is a very important paradox, because something which is true and good has to show the ugliness of sin, right? You can't sort of refuse to look at sin because it's ugly, because then what you're doing is not producing. You're not actually presenting goodness and truth, right? In pursuit of beauty. So, in other words, there is a beauty in understanding the fullness of reality, the fullness of truth. So there's a goodness, understanding the fullness of truth, and that includes looking at the ugliness of sin. Now, it may well be in heaven. We don't have to do that any longer, right? But we're not in heaven. We're in enemy territory. We're in a war, and in the trenches, you're going to witness ugliness, even if what you're doing in the trenches is pursuing and fighting for the good.
Mhm. So does it mean as well, like returning to poetry and literature, that showing ugly things means what you have just said? That because I can suppose that some people might read a novel or a poem and say, no, it is ugly. I expect something beautiful. But maybe they are looking at it in the wrong way. Maybe
Yeah, I mean, it would be the equivalent of trying to walk through life and without looking at the cross, without
Mhm.
taking up the cross, trying to avoid the cross. Right? Is that basically that if beauty means the pursuit of comfort at all costs, then you're basically what you're going to happen. You're going to have a bigger cross thrust upon you than you would have had if you're happy to embrace the smaller ones. So that's the whole point. Is that ugliness is part of the truth, and understood properly is part of the beauty of truth. Now, the danger is, which is why I talked about good books and good bad books and bad good books, is that someone can have 5 talents given to them by God, right? They are brilliant as a writer or an artist. But if they themselves are disordered, I mean, of course, all of us are up to a point, but if our disorder defines us, in other words, if we are proud of our pride and don't seek anything except our own narcissistic self-absorption, that's going to be manifest in the work. But the work is still, God's given you five talents, right? You are still a great writer. And the analogy I use here is that God does not remove gifts the moment we abuse them. And the obvious answer, the way of looking at that, is the gift of life. Now, if God removed the gift of life the first time we sinned, right, none of us would be here. So clearly, God gives us gifts and doesn't remove them because we abuse them. Because if he did that, none of us would have anything, life or artistic gifts. Our sin would basically destroy everything. So he permits us to abuse the gifts that he's given us, which means that you can have, and I use the example of James Joyce, I think, with Portrait of the Artist as as a young man. This is almost that Stephen Dedalus and that is almost an antichrist. That is basically it's about the triumph of pride over religion, of the artist over any attempts to impose morality upon him. So, but it's beautifully written. He's a good storyteller. So, as a work of literary art, it is good. As a work of that which reflects the fullness of goodness, truth, and beauty, as made manifest in the divine, it's a lie. It's ugly. So that this would be it would be a good bad book. It's a good book in terms of artistic achievement, a bad book in terms of its presentation of reality, because what it presents ultimately is a very beautifully constructed lie.
Okay, and
Which actually takes back full circle to your original example about the beautiful woman who's really, really wicked, right? That yes, but this is a beautiful lie. The surface is wonderful, but don't dig beneath the surface because you're not going to like what you find. And the same thing with Portrait of the Artist.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't seen the previous episodes yet, please check the In a Nutshell About Literature playlist. You can watch them individually or as 6 long compilation videos. And please remember that you can support the development of this channel in several ways. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, like this video and leave a comment. Share the video by copying the link and posting it on other social media. And finally, you can support us financially by buying me a virtual cup of coffee or making a donation. Or you can do the shopping in my online store. Please check out what products you can get there. And you can check the options below the video where you'll find links to these services. Thank you once again, and see you in the next episode of In a Nutshell about literature with Joseph Pearcem. God bless you.